Make yourself at home. Just pull anything out you want.
Yeah, that camera is good, bro. I think all three of us fit in that one.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
Alright,
So.
cool. Alright, right.
Right.
CNN type, media darling types who push the fucking COVID narrative and push every mainstream narrative. Those guys, that's a
Is this a recording?
It is T-code?
Yeah.
actual conversations with people like Dave Smith who know what they're talking about and not ideologically captured.
Take a picture.
You can't argue that it's just
There you go.
idea to do certain things. And I'm not making that conclusion in your mind.
Yep, cool.
Alright, we on.
We are live, buddy.
Live and pop.
Alright, so I'll go ahead and kick it off. Alright, everybody, my name is Jerry Martinez. I'm ex-military, U.S. Army. We're here today to kind of talk about PTSD and how it's affected us in our personal lives, and hopefully we can get our stories out there so that people can see that we're three different people from three different backgrounds who personally, I believe, are successful in what we do in our lives every day, even though we struggle through PTSD. So I'm going to just do some quick introductions real quick. Again, my name is Jerry Martinez, and we have
Matthew Marin. I'm a police officer, and I'm also a Navy veteran. I've been a police officer now for 18 years, and also I'm the executive director for the Burwell Foundation for PTSD. And what we specialize in is helping people deal with their symptoms. And we also have a Camp Valor, and that's located in Conroe, Texas. And what we do there, it's an in-house facility that we feed them, we house them, and we take them through training on a daily basis on how to become closer to God, how to become a better man, how to control these symptoms that they're having, whether it's anxiety, depression, anger management problems. We have AA on site. We do a lot of stuff there, and it's on a 9.5 acre piece of land. It has a big pond there they can fish. Has a sectioned off so they can pray. And we don't force religion there, but we are faith-based. I believe the quickest way to heal a traumatic event is to be closer to the Lord and know Him closer and better. I didn't always feel like that. At times, whenever a lot of my trauma happened, I rejected Him a lot, and a lot of bad stuff happened. And when I finally embraced Him, a lot of good stuff started happening in my life, and that allows me to help other people recover from this. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Jason Lozano, Jerry's business partner, ex-Navy vet, and ex-contractor.
Cool. Let's get started. Matthew, I'm going to start with you. Just these are some basic questions that I kind of went through and tried to work in to see how we can kind of help other vets kind of identify, like how we went through and how we got through a lot of our challenges, right?
For sure.
So the first question is, what experiences from your childhood shaped the person you are today?
Oof, that's a really good question, actually. Well, for one, major impact in my life is my mom and dad. My dad was a police officer when I was small, all the way up until I was actually a police officer myself. But he taught me a lot of hard work. Hard work pays off. He keeps me driven. He taught me how to never quit, how to keep my eye on the prize. And then my mom, she was she still is a hairstylist, and she works 6 days a week, nonstop, on her feet, all day, every day, dealing with her hands every day, and she never once complained, man. And when she had to work, She'd come home in the evening time, still cook us meals and everything, did parent duties at the house, and and that work ethic between both of them, man, that was awesome to see. And all my siblings are the same way. Like when they work, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's a big impact.
Sweet. Jason, same question.
Well, for me, it's a little different. Growing up, my dad was a Vietnam vet, alcoholic, drug addict. So pretty much that's all I was around growing up. The reason why I joined the military was because of my dad. You know, I wanted to, I guess, well, my grandfather was in World War II, my dad was in Vietnam, and, you know, I wanted to continue the family tradition. But it was also my way of escape, you know. And don't get me wrong, I didn't have a fucked up childhood. I wasn't abused, you know. My dad was a functional alcoholic. He paid the bills, went to work 7 days a week or whatever, you know, went to work, paid the bills. You know, we just was around him while he was fucked up all the time. You know what I mean? And that kind of affected me and my brother Jake. But that's also why I wanted to just, you know, leave, you know, and start my own thing, do my own thing. And that's what made me, you know, join the military. And that's also what, I guess, made me who I am today.
Nice. Let me mute this real quick. I want that in the background.
Still going? All right, so I'm going to answer the same question. Just what experiences from the childhood shaped the person you are today? I think, Matthew, a lot like you, my parents both worked. I always saw, like, if you worked hard, you know, you could get what you want. Never really knew that we were a poor family, right? Because we always had what we needed or what we wanted. So, you know, growing up, going to school, my parents didn't really care about education other than just graduate and go to work, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the experiences from my childhood,
Yeah.
kind of growing up. So one thing that I learned was just show up and do your job, like, you know what I mean? Like, and everything will work out, you know what I mean? I've always kept that in everything I've done in the military, like jobs that I've worked at, and even when I went to school, like I got my degree, that's the same thing. It's just like, you know what? I don't know anything about it, but I know that I want to be the first one in my family to graduate and go to school and do something different, because I know that I didn't want to live my life the way my parents did. I knew I wanted more, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how, I think that's what shaped me, right? Just seeing that hard work and knowing that you can do it. Did I know I could do it? No, I didn't. It just is pretty much faith, you know, believing if you do, you'll get somewhere, so.
Real quick, I might touch on that. Like, I'm gonna share a real quick story on service. So when I was younger, this is kind of what made me, I guess, more tuned in to serving.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at elementary school, man. We were living off of Edgebrook in South Houston, right next to South Houston High School, and man, it was bad over there. We were living in apartment complexes. My dad was a police officer, so it was free rent, you know. And it was a courtesy officer spot. At night, man, we hear gunshots all the time. It was crazy. But one day, I was sitting there watching TV with my dad, and this banging starts happening on the door. Help, help, help! And he jumps up, and you know, he's in some, you know, tidy whities, you know, white beater shirt, and he opens the door, and there's this lady frantic. My baby's in the apartment, and it's on fire, and this and that. Help me! And man, without even hesitating, man, he just took off. And it was we were on the second floor, so you had to go down, and then right across the sidewalk, you go up again. It's the second floor. It's like out my door, I could see directly into hers. And it was engulfed in flames, bro, the whole apartment. And he gets up there, and he takes his shirt off and wraps it around his fist and breaks the window and dives in there, goes in after the kid. And he comes out coughing up black stuff, and goes back in, comes back out, throwing up. And then there was this other guy there that he was like, hey, stop, man, stop. And he just went back in, and he was in there for a little while, man. And I remember just sitting there, like, because we have that little balcony, and like I see directly to him. And I was just sitting there like, man.
Yeah.
He goes, my dad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's crazy how you see this shit vividly still, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he falls out of the window again, but he has something in his arms. And later on, he told me, like, I thought it was a doll. And but it ended up being the baby. And the guy took the baby, and they rushed him downstairs. HFD had just pulled up. And yeah, so saved the baby. And I saw the reaction of by then it was a big crowd of people around the apartment complex, and the amount of respect that was shown to my dad after, you know, all that occurred, man, it was unreal. And in my head, I was like, "Yeah, my dad's a superhero."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, man, and if there's a job that I can do that kind of stuff, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, from a young age, I knew what I was going to do. I just needed a pathway there, you know, and but that was, you know, going into service, like serving other people, that was really impactful.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny when you're talking about your dad. Like, for years and years and years, I had a lot of resentment towards my father because he was just never around. You know, I didn't have that father-son relationship that most families have. And it was always my mom. My mom always took us to ball games, took us to our football games, I was in soccer for like 12 years, loved soccer, took us to baseball. But until I was actually in a combat zone, deployed, I never understood what my dad went through.
Yeah.
And then when I came home, you know, I had a different respect towards him.
It's wild, right?
You know?
Because I touched on that. It's crazy you said that, because it wasn't until I became a police officer when I figured out, oh shit, this is what he went through my whole childhood.
Yep.
This is why he was so strict on me, and you know, this is why he was closed off, and this is why, because back then, you know, they didn't have those, you know, channels where you can go for, you know, mental health and all this other stuff. And you know, back, you know, he's still seeing dead bodies every day. He's still seeing rape victims. He's still seeing decapitated children, like same shit I saw, but he didn't have no help, you know, back then. So he channeled it into different things, and whether it helped or not, you know what I mean. It's some was healthy and some weren't.
Yeah.
Some habits were healthy and some weren't. But yeah, times are changing, man, and I'm glad that they are, and I'm glad that people are starting to recognize the impact of trauma to the brain, and actually admit that there's PTSD out there. And you know, for the longest time it was, you know, what was it, shell shock, and they called it different names, but they didn't know how to define it. And now we're starting to pinpoint, you know, hey, you know, some people get anxiety because of this, or some people get severe depression because of this, and they understand the reason why.
Yeah. You know, something else that I think we should bring up is that our culture too, right? So anytime we admit that we're hurting, or we have a problem, or we feel, we kind of feel like we're weak, right?
You feel like you're
Suck it up.
Yeah, you feel like a bitch, yeah. And that's just our culture, right?
Man,
and so like a lot of
be a
times,
little bitch.
yeah, and that's one of the things that, like, that's, you know, one of the things that we gotta get out there to people. It's like, we all struggle with it, right? And it's, you're not being a little bitch, right? Like, you gotta be able to identify the issue that you're running into, right? And then kind of defeat it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the hardest thing is you got a group of 5 people, you know, and I would say cousins. I grew up around a lot of families, right? And what's the first thing that you did when you got hurt? You started crying. What's the first thing your cousins did?
Made funny.
They made fun of you, right? So
Start laughing at you.
yeah, they start laughing at you. So we're accustomed to that, right? And so, like, as we go through our lives and we experience different things, I think that we've never really learned how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And then so like I think it's I was reading the book. It says Unmasking the Warrior, but I think what I was thinking when I read that was like we put on a mask
Yeah.
for everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, and that's 100% true, and that's why I put that, because Unmasking the Warrior is a journal, actually used for people that are going through traumatic events and going through therapy, and or seeing peer support for their trauma. And what it does is it allows them to track their recovery or their downfall, right? So every day they're making an entry. Okay, I woke up 3 times tonight.
Yeah.
One time, sweating as much as he can remember, or she can remember, and then the next day, same thing. And while you're doing the recovery phases, you're able to see a pattern of what you're doing, and if it's getting better, then you know it's working. If it's not, you need to change something up. Yeah, so that's what the journal is for.
Awesome. So I think one other thing that I want to kind of talk about is as far as like how we mask things. I think that one thing that a lot of us vets fail to realize is that we get this pride, right? We don't want to talk to our loved ones, right? It could be your wife, could be your brother, could be your friend, or whoever it is, and you hold back, and that's, I mean, for me, I do it all the time. Like I hold back, I hold it all in, and you always hear that like one day it's gonna explode, and you don't know how it's gonna come out.
Yeah, that happened to me, buddy. Just freak. The second freaking week of March.
Yeah.
That fucking happened to me, bro. After 15 years, and that fucking shit was scary as fuck.
What happened? What?
Oh, I just broke. Like literally, like he wasn't there, but he was there. Yeah. Like, I stopped drinking 7 months ago. Like, and I've been holding on. Like, look, perfect example. I've known him for over 10 years.
Right.
Probably longer than that. Not once have we ever fucking talked about anything military. Not once have we brought up anything military related. Not once. Hell, I didn't even freaking know he was deployed to Afghanistan. Like, we just don't fucking talk about this shit. I knew he was in the military. I knew he was in Army. That was about it. But I never pressed him, never asked him questions. We just don't talk about it.
Right.
And then, that's the way I've always carried myself over the years. I just don't talk about my shit. All I do is fucking drink, fucking do drugs. Drink, do drugs. That's all I did. That's my coping mechanism. Yeah. And I stopped drinking 7 months ago. And I just cold turkey. Stopped the drugs, stopped the drink, everything. Stopped smoking, stopped drinking, stopped vaping, stopped coke. Cold turkey. And one day I just woke up, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Because I'm just literally getting shit-faced every other day. Like literally, like clockwork. Yeah. Every other day. Shit-faced, recovery. Shit-faced, recovery. Shit-faced, recovery. That's how I carried myself for years. Yeah. And dude, one day I just broke, bro. Just like he says, like, I don't even know how to explain it. All I know is I started feeling kind of weird. Started a little different. I noticed I was a little bit more sensitive. Like I was up in my feelings and shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm not usually like that. Like he knows how I am. And dude, one day me and my mom were at freaking lunch, middle of fucking lunch at Golden Corral, and I just fucking broke, bro. I just started crying, bro, uncontrollably. Like all the raw emotion just fucking came out. Like it was literally uncontrollable, and it was fucking scary as fuck. Like it scared the shit out of me. Like I ain't gonna lie, it did.
For sure.
It's the only time it happened, and after talking to a few people, they tell me eventually it was gonna happen. Yeah. And that was my breaking point. And from then on, dude, like I shit you not, bro. I've been more focused. I've been more driven. Beautiful. Like me and him just been literally talking about this shit like for weeks, like just like every other day when we're having a conversation, we're like, when are we doing our podcast? When are we gonna get fucking started? When are we doing our nonprofit? And then we started, instead of talking about it, we started putting shit in motion. Nice. You know what I mean? We started connecting with the right people, especially with our nonprofit. Now we were, matter of fact, on the drive up here, we were talking to one of our friends. She has a nonprofit, but she's helping us get through the whole process and like how to stand it up and all this thing. Because me and him got 1,000 questions. Right?
Right.
Honestly, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. We're just doing it. You know what I mean?
Best thing to do is just do it, man.
Just jump into
Jump
it.
into it.
That's like with the military. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's all. Half the time we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. We just fucking did
do
it. You know what I mean? But that was my breaking point, bro, and it came out of nowhere. It was literally unexpected. I scared a lot of fucking people.
Most of the time it is, man.
But thank God, you know, they stuck by my side. They're still by my side.
Yeah.
And I'm just going through the motions every day, you know.
So I'll tell you this. I speak a lot to different. Sometimes companies, sometimes VFW, sometimes American Legions, sometimes police departments. But what I tell people a lot, especially, you know, the veterans and first responders, you go through all this time, man. This isn't even dealing with your childhood, because your childhood builds up and builds up and builds up, and we don't know how to deal with childhood shit, right?
Yep. So
that alone is built up already. Then you go into war, right? Then you go into you shot and killed somebody. You see people die in front of you. I had a shipwreck, saw multiple people die in front of me. You know, all this stuff, right? Builds up. You got a glass of water. Every piece of trauma, you pour a little bit of water in that motherfucker, right? Keeps going up and up and up. And then policing. I see a kid that just got raped, almost died. I see a kid decapitated in a car accident. I see a triple homicide. A guy killed his entire family. Like, all this stuff adds up, right? I get in a shooting, have to kill somebody multiple times. All that shit adds up. And if you're not fucking talking to somebody and venting to somebody, and talking and getting that shit off of your shoulders as you're going through this process, that cup's gonna overfill and flood out. And when it does, that's when you have domestic violence with veterans and first responders. That's when you get veterans getting locked up, police officers getting fired because they popped off on their wife, and their wife, you know, went to the department about it. You know, that kind of stuff. All these different things, anger management issues, like every little thing you pop off on. Bro, I was a police officer, and I was going to clubs hoping somebody would fight me. Like, I wanted to feel pain.
No,
I wanted to inflict pain.
Me and him just talked about that the other day, dude. I used to get in fights just to fucking feel pain, bro.
Yeah.
Like, literally, legit. I would literally start a fight just to fucking feel pain.
Yeah, and it's not okay, right? So, and because that's what I was doing too. And the thing is that if you're not dealing with what you have the correct way, you're gonna distance your family, all your relationships. Yeah. Man, I was distancing myself from my mom, my dad, everybody.
Oh yeah.
My entire family. I was distancing myself from them because I didn't know how I was gonna react if somebody said something around me that I didn't like.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want them to see me pop off like I know I've always been doing, but I didn't want them to see that.
Yeah.
So the easiest thing to do, separate myself. You know, everybody misses you. Everybody does this. Everybody does that.
Yeah.
But you can't. Your empathy goes away. I don't know if you noticed that.
Well, my empathy's been gone, dude, for over a decade, bro.
And that's a major problem, because that doesn't allow you to connect with your spouses, to connect with your loved ones, and you know that's why divorces happen, and you know stuff like that. So the more knowledge that's out there, the more spoken word, like podcasts like this, written word, you know, shit like that, man. The more stuff that's out there, people get educated this way.
Yeah.
You know, so what you are doing is very good, man, and keep up what you are doing. And in my podcast, I interview trauma victims as well. I need y'all to get on my podcast too. But it's called Battle Bud Podcast on Spotify. It's free. But what I do is I interview trauma victims, and I interview the trauma, and then I interview them.
We're on Battle Bud Podcast. We're doing it right now.
Okay, well we'll use it. And so we'll interview the trauma, and then we'll be like, okay, what was your turning point? And then what made you realize that you're going on a downward spiral? Yeah. And then also any books that you read, resources that you used, anything like that. Because a lot of people, man, like especially me, I didn't know where to go for help. You know, and if people like see this on social media or wherever, and they hear one little thing that could help them, bro, we did our job.
Yeah. And you know what's fucking crazy? Because I don't believe in coincidence, and I should not me and him had this conversation at least a dozen times. So like the day I fucking broke, right? The day I fucking broke, I made a little post because I was so basically I was at our mutual friend of ours named DJ. I was at a shop because my truck was getting new tires. And so while we were waiting, we went to go eat lunch. And so, well, lunch didn't happen, so we went back to DJ's shop. So when the drive from there to his shop was, I don't know, 6 minutes, and I just fucking made a little quick post, right? And fucking one of my chiefs, the chief warrant officer, Billy Schultz, fucking calls me out of fucking nowhere, calls me on Facebook Messenger. I ain't talked to dude in 10 years. I ain't talked to dude in fucking 10 fucking years. He calls me up and he's like, Lozano, what the fuck's up with that post? And I'm like, what's going on, chief? I'm like, I'm just having a bad day. And dude, turned out that he'd already retired from the Army, and I was telling him this shit. He retired from the Army, he became a doctor that helps, fucking psychiatrist who helps fucking veterans and combat veterans and just people in general, all walks of life that deal with trauma and PTSD.
For sure.
And what is the chance of that happening? That's why it's still fucking mind blowing me. Like, out of all the motherfuckers in the world, the day I fucking broke, the universe throws me Chief Schultz to fucking talk. He sat there on the phone with me for 45 minutes.
God has a plan for all of us, bro.
I'm not all religious and all that, you know. I mean, me, I'm not. Like, but you know, but something or somebody did. I'm not disagreeing with you there.
No, for sure.
But and then after that, just to get me and him like me and him on a straight path now. Like we know what we want to fucking do, and we're doing it. But just a lot of different coincidental things just happened after that. And then this is when me and him were finding more and more about each other,
right,
in relations to the people around us that fucking even threw us even more in the loop. It was like, what the fuck? And it's weird because all this shit that all of us experienced, this happened over a decade ago. And now we're coming to find out that the people that are really close to us was right there with us. And we didn't even fucking know it. You know what I mean? Like, and well, we didn't know it at the time. Well, except, you know, one time, you know, well, I knew me and so my cousin Ruben, which he's related to their family, he was deployed to Iraq in 2006. We were both at Camp Anaconda, and I was deployed there too. But he went on doing his mission, I went on doing my mission, and we actually met there in fucking middle of fucking Balad, Iraq, in 2006, halfway across the world, and we grew up together. Like, that's some shit.
That's
you know
awesome.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And then now, you know, after I told him that, he tells me some things about him, and he barely missed. Him and little Ruben were at the same base in Afghanistan, and they missed each other. But, you know, but it's weird though, at the time, you know, all this is going on, you know, we don't really know nothing, but later on we find out all about this stuff, and what actually brought us a lot closer, I don't know, for me it did, I don't know if it was for him, but
he's like, huh?
another thing, no, this is fucking crazy too. This is another coincidental thing. So I was in Afghanistan in 0405, and I was at a base Salerno, and I was just kind of mentioning it to him. And we and him were just at fucking lunch with one of his buddies. We were talking about opening up a fucking fast food place in Chandler, right? And so this guy over here, you know, he's like stupid rich. Like he's rich and privileged, so he doesn't understand our lifestyle very much. All right. So I was just telling the more of the story was more for him than him, because I was just, you know, because you know he's never experienced that type of lifestyle.
Right.
And I'm like, Jerry, I'm about to tell you something that's going to bring us that much more closer to brother, because he actually stood up Salerno like a year or two before I even got there. Like he fucking built it from scratch. And that's what's fucking crazy. So I just started, you know, when you're downrange, a lot of people are veterans. A lot of people say they've been overseas. You know, I hear stories all the fucking time, and I can call bullshit out a fucking mile away.
Right.
All right. And it's the little things that you know if a motherfucker's talking shit or not. You know what I mean? Or if a motherfucker's bullshitting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was just telling them like the base layout, you know, just little things. There used to be a little stream in front of the mosque where fucking Hodges would go there and fucking wash their balls, and their fucking dick and balls would be fucking flapping out there, just cleaning their shit. And outside the main gate, you know, I was telling them there used to be a Haji Mart where we'd go fucking buy all our DVDs or shit to keep us entertained while we're fucking bored as fuck. Because half the time you ain't doing shit.
They have five movies on one DVD.
Dude, and you know,
All
and,
Middle
a lot
Eastern.
of little things. You know, a lot of little things. You know, I was,
Fake Rolexes.
Rolex.
Rolexes, yeah.
and I kept going. I said a lot more, but at the end of that whole fucking thing, and this his buddy, and I remember I've only told this story probably like maybe 3 times. I remember one particular night. So I used to PT around so there was a squadron of Apaches and a squadron of Cobras. That's only 2 type of helicopters I remember being there that were chopped down. And it would be these big ass pebbles, you know. We made their own, I guess, well, y'all made the landing area or whatever, or did
Yeah,
you
that's
that?
cool.
Okay, and then I guess and so I would always run on the outside perimeter at night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you couldn't see shit. You had to wear fucking glow sticks, or there was no fucking, you couldn't see shit. We had these glow things, you would see maybe a foot in front of you, if that,
right.
maybe. And that was it. But at night, I would always, you know, whenever I did PT, I would always run around the perimeter. And I remember one time I was just, and all I started hearing, doom, doom. And so that's just mortars being shot off.
Right.
They know where they're coming from. They know where they were going. Yeah, it's just what you start hearing. And then I started hearing getting closer, and we just started hearing explosion. Doom, 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 doom. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I was telling him I started seeing these fucking pilots started running to their fucking choppers, and they started fucking turning up. And I know, so to kind of explain it to you, Salerno is kind of, it's at the base of the mountain. What is it, about 3 kilometers or 2 kilometers from the mountain base, or less than that? It's fucking close.
It's at the base, yeah.
Dude, you can literally, from ice view, you can literally see the base of the mountain. It's fucking close as fuck. And so the choppers took off, and next thing I know, I mean, it took them a minute, if that, maybe they're right in front of the mountain. They're just fucking shooting the shit out of the fucking mountain. And I say this all the time, it's like a fucking scene in the movies, because you can't make this shit up. Like, this shit's fucking real, and it's, dude, I'm so close, I can fucking feel the explosions, I can feel the heat, you know, now the fucking sky's just orange and red, and his buddy over here, he's like this. Like, his jaws just dropped, like this is the most amazing story he's ever heard in his life, you know, and then but, you know, I'm not gonna say much more than that, but, because it was a crazy day. And, anyway, but after all that, well, before I even said that story, and you know, and after I said everything about Salerno, and Jerry's like, yep. That's the only thing out of his mouth, and this dude over here is like, he's like, no shit. I'm like, yeah. I mean, but that was kind of like fucking every day for us, you know. Like, they're different. You never knew what to expect every fucking day. Some days you didn't fucking do shit. It would go a week just silence, you just bullshitting, eating, fucking getting fat and working out, doing PT. That's it. Then when the shit happened, the fucking shit happened. You know what I mean? And but
I'm gonna move this along to the next question. So, Matthew, for you, who's had the greatest impact on your life and how?
Now?
Yeah.
Now.
Or just even like, what led you to the path that you're on? Like, who was that main person?
Well, other than my old man, so I was already helping veterans out before I jumped on the foundation. I was already helping police officers out as well. But the founder of the Birdwell Foundation, Mr. Birdwell, he's the one that got me onto the foundation. He made great money. He built construction companies, sold it. He has his own construction company for forever. He had it. Yeah. And he makes great money. But he made an effort to make sure that veterans and first responders are getting attended to, are getting help. You know what I mean? And not only did he pour in his own money, like having a nonprofit that's functional and that's that's a legit nonprofit, especially with a camp, that's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work, and it's a lot of ups and downs,
That's
man.
a full-time job,
Bro,
right?
it's a lot of ups and downs, man. And I've seen him, how he reacts to certain situations, and I admire it, and I learn from it. I learned a lot from him, just talking to him about the business side of it, about the nonprofit side. He's actually been a good mentor to me. Also, a good mentor to me is Roger Marshall. He used to be with the foundation, and I say he still is. He's watching, but he stepped aside for a little while. He just got married, but he is a huge veteran and first responder advocate, and he helps veterans and first responders all over the nation. And he's definitely helped us as a foundation grow with connections, with all kinds of things, man. He goes out proactively to VA hospitals and stuff, and gets people and tells them and shows them what is out there for them to help them. And also he also runs a Warriors group in Georgia out of a church, but he is steadily active in the veteran and first responder community. Okay. But I learned a lot from him, work ethic a lot, and then also how to kind of use resources the way that we need to. Yeah. Because there's resources out there that I never knew about, and once you bring it to light, man, it's like a whole new world, you know. Yeah. And it's so much easier to help people, you know, with knowing that.
But one of the things we talked about was, like, I mean, show of hands between all three of us, have you been to a VA counselor?
I've been there.
And it's like you sit there and you talk to them for what, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Your little.
No, I do that. There was one point in time I was going to a VA psychiatrist for every week, once a week. Yeah. Like fucking clockwork.
I hated it.
I show up, and then what? I hated though. It was for me. It was. I didn't like it, but it started to become routine for me because it helped me just get shit off, shit out. Yeah. But then when they fucking started training people up, that's when I started going. Yeah. Because it's like I was starting all over again, like from fucking back to square one.
So what we do on that is our foundation basically assigns you a battle buddy. You know what I mean? So like, let's say you're a police officer and you got in a shooting and you had to end up killing somebody and you're dealing with like survivor's guilt, right? Well, I also have an officer over here that went through the same thing, and that will pair y'all up and let y'all work it out. You know what I mean? And he's trained on peer support, and you know what I mean. So he's certified through us. But that's how we.
I guess you got certain people for certain situations.
Yeah. And the more and that's why we always ask for volunteers, man. It's not a 24/7 thing, but like for instance for y'all two, man, being volunteers, that'd be freaking awesome. If I had somebody that was was around bombs and stuff and was dealing with that, well, I got somebody that can help you. And all it is talking them through situations, hearing them out, and when you're able to guide them in the right direction, man, it's like healing in itself. Yeah. For yourself. You know what I mean? So like with me, like a lot of people are like, man, why you're like on the go all the time? I was like, because it's like an adrenaline rush, and because every time I help someone, man, I feel that dopamine hits you, man. Because in my mind, like other people, like, you know, they love other shit, but I love the fact that I can turn this guy or this woman who can't put the bottle down, and turn their life around. You know what I mean?
Direct their life to a better
and be a better mom and be a better, you know, husband or whatever. And even though, like, you know, I have my personal faults, like big time, right? Yeah. But everybody takes criticism differently, you know. So you gotta kind of learn how to talk to people too. Yeah. Different people react to differently. Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of me. I ain't got no filter. I tell them how it is, and I tell them how they feel.
But some people need that.
Yeah. No, some people, I keep it real with everybody.
No,
you know, everybody's always kept it real with me. Yeah. Even him. Quit being a little bitch. You know, like. But that's the way he's driven. But you know what? you gotta know how to talk to people a certain way, because you can't. Some people you can't just be fucking baby them or pat them on the back. You know, sometimes you gotta be firm and right. Like you gotta be. That's why I operate. I don't.
You gotta be able to feel out the other person.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like
you gotta adapt.
And you know what's weird? You know, ever since like when I broke down, ever since then, and when my chief called me and he actually told me, hey, starting. You know, he told me to journal, I don't fucking write, so I'm not doing that shit.
Journaling saved my life.
But that's why I started doing these videos. Every fucking day, you can't even ask me, every fucking day I'm doing a video. Every day I'm speaking out, every day I'm saying something. Yeah. And that's my coping mechanism.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
But, you know, but that's what he told me to do. And then he even told me start a podcast, you know, do something to, and, you know, he exactly, Chief told me, by you helping other people, you're also helping yourself.
Yep.
And that's what I wanted to do.
100%.
True. That's why we're here at the table right now.
100% true. And the thing is, you know, me journaling turned into a #1 seller.
Yeah. That's badass.
So this book right here is nothing but journal entries.
No shit.
That I made into a book.
I'm gonna read these later.
That went #1 in 3 site categories.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it took me 2 years to get it through the department because they had to verify everything was true and right.
Yeah.
Because I'm still a police officer, so I'm passing it through as a nonfiction.
Yeah.
And it's all like stories in the military, in the street, you know, as a cop, you know, stuff like that. And it's every chapter is a different story.
I wonder how we, you know, our stories, dude. There ain't no vetting process for our stories. Like, how the hell would we? I mean, I know the DoD has a vetting process and a vetting department and division.
No, as long as you don't list names, locations, anything specific.
Well, it's kind of hard not to do.
I'll teach you.
Yeah, but
it's easy.
But like, dude, there's no like.
Because that's what I had to do with this one.
Dude, our shit like fucking like the UFO thing I was telling you about there, dude. Fucking, I have to go ahead and say it. I know, sorry, Jerry. It's kind of we're sidetracking your itinerary.
Put your tin hat.
Put your full pepper on.
So I got a crazy story. So.
CIA's gonna snap him up.
One time, me and my team, they flew us up to Sindar Mountain, and the only way on and off this fucking mountaintop is fucking helicopter. There ain't no roads, there ain't nothing around for hundreds of fucking miles. Like, literally nothing. And we're, I don't know, 10, 15 miles from the Syrian border, maybe further. But Sindar Mountain, look it up. You know, for y'all vetting people, look up Sindar Mountain. It's close to the Syrian border. Okay. Anyway,
it's there.
So I was out one night. I don't know if I was on watch or I don't know what the fuck I was on the roof, and I just seen this big old egg shape like off in the distance, and literally. I watched it for like a fucking hour.
This was at night. So the egg shape was bright.
It was fucking bright, like white yellow. That's how, and it was fucking huge. I mean, like, you know, when you're, I was maybe about 7,500 feet in elevation. Not really sure. Maybe 5 to 7,000 feet in elevation. That's how high it was. I wasn't high like fucking big mountains are. This was a little mountain range. But there's nothing around me, so there's nothing that I can reference off of like the size of this thing, because it was just stationary in the fucking middle of the sky, and there was literally nothing around me. No fucking towers, no cities, no nothing like nothing. I couldn't reference, but it was fucking huge. And the only thing I can think of, it's maybe the size of the moon when you're looking at it from the sky, but it was like, you know, aerial level from wherever you're standing, you can just look up and it's fucking big. And so after about an hour, I got my buddy, as I was telling you, he came out and we started looking at it, and then we just got fucking bored, and you know, it wasn't doing shit. But what I started noticing, because I stayed out there, I slept outside, that it was doing one of these, because the closer it got to me, the bigger it was getting, and then the further it got, it was getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Shot a couple rounds at it.
Nah, it was too far. It was fucking far. Like it was far. And that's what it started doing this. So that's how I knew that it was, I kind of figured out it was doing a rotational type thing, but I don't know if it was or not. I just remember it got big, then it got small, and then it got big. It got dimmer, and then it got, you know, it got brighter, then it got less bright, brighter, less bright. So that's what I figured it was doing these. And then, so, daytime came, and the shit was still there, but all I could see is just a silhouette of the shape, but it was still there. And then fucking second night came through, and the motherfucker was right there again, right in the sky, and we're all three of us were like, man, what the fuck? And, you know, it just sat there. It didn't fucking do anything. It didn't fucking bother us. Well, I mean, it was too far from us anyway, but it was far away, and it was just fucking huge. And, you know, day 3 comes, a fucking black cop comes and picks us up. And I was at Camp Slayer at the time. That's where I was at. Well, we flew back to Bayou, and then when we got to Bayou, we drove to Camp Slayer. And yeah, and then after we just fucking never talked about it. You know what I mean? But I just remember that shit because of all the fucking UFO shit that's going on.
Yeah.
But dude, that was fucking crazy. That's like one of the craziest things I've seen out there. But yeah.
So I'm gonna go to the next question. All right.
Oh, you didn't ask me that question.
Okay. Let me go to you. Who had the greatest impact on your life and how?
So,
I don't even veer off that.
Off that one. But.
when you sidetracked and I sidetracked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Not a perfect recipe. It's just,
Hey, it flows.
it flows.
I would say my mom, because my mom's always been there through the good and the bad, the thick and the thin. And then second would be my son, because, well, he had no choice, but he's been through all the good, bad, the thick and the thin.
Yeah.
And then the day I fucking trauma dumped, okay, I traumaed up on 2 fucking people. I traumaed up on my son and a friend of mine named Brenda. And, well, you've heard me talk about her a few times.
Yeah.
Brenda is a very, very important person to me. And I'm pretty sure if she sees this video, she'll hear this. She means a lot to me. And my son, when I trauma dumped on him, I got no response. Well, at least with her, I got a little bit of response. But from Jaden, I got nothing. And
Were you looking for a response from Jaden?
I don't know. I don't even know. Honestly, it just, you know, it's when all the raw emotion was just fresh inside me, and I'm still trying to process it because I really don't know it.
How old is he?
17.
Whenever you did it.
17. So this just happened the second week of March. This is like new. This is like fresh new. So, honestly, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect from either of them, to be honest with you. It's first time me even speaking about this, to be honest with you. With her, she just happened to be there, and I just, you know, me and her reunited, and the funny thing is I ain't seen her in like 3 years, up until like that weekend, and we met at the rodeo, and I had a freaking phenomenal time, awesome time, and
So she's not a friend, she's more than a friend.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I guess you can say that. But no, I hadn't seen her in 3 years, you know what I mean? And she just happened to be there, and she did give me a response, you know, she told me I needed to get help, and she really cared about me, and I really, really needed to seek help, and, you know, she's like, you really need it, she's like, this is not good, you know what I mean? Which, that I expected from her. And then with Jaden, it was just nothing. And that kind of like worried me a little bit, you know what I mean? I mean, like, and me and my thing about it is too, me and my son's relationship, it's not perfect. Like, I mean, he's a 17-year-old kid. He's a freaking high schooler. He's got his own world. He got his own. How did you describe it to me?
But also,
he got his own life going on.
Also, he's a 17-year-old.
He's
also 17.
You know what I mean? Like
Got a girlfriend.
Forgot about daddy. You know, I'm butthurt.
He didn't forget about you, man.
He didn't forget about you, but yeah, he's
But I expected more of a response from him than anybody, because like dude's like my best friend. You know what I mean? He knows all the good, all the bad.
But you gotta understand real quick that he's 17.
Yeah,
He's 17 years old. Did you know how to respond to that if your dad did that to you?
Well, my dad never did it to me.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if he did. See, the thing is, like,
yeah,
when
you're right.
when you're 17, bro, you don't understand.
And you know what?
how to function.
But I made the mistake of doing that to him because you're right. I forgot he's a fucking kid. You know what I mean? Like literally, kids are innocent. They don't fucking understand all the shit that we all went through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't a mistake though, man. Because later on in life, he's gonna look back and he's like, oh shit.
You know, and no, like the dude's been my shadow ever since like little. Okay, so I've raised my son since he's 4 years old all by myself. Well, of course, with my mom's help, but literally all by myself. You know, when me and his mom, we got divorced back in 2012, his mom basically moved back to Arizona.
Right.
And I came home June 23rd, 2011, and I had a son that I didn't even know that I was responsible for. I was literally, he was literally just thrown in my lap, which I don't want to say it like that, and I don't have a problem with it because, hell, I mean, fucking my son's my everything, and he's the only thing that keeps me here. You know what I mean? Like, he's the only thing that's kept me alive all these years. Like, legit. Even when I was over there, that's all. He was a newborn, man. There's been plenty of times I'm in the fucking middle of getting shot at, middle of a fucking firefight, and the only thing that popped in my head was him. Not anybody else. Not my ex-wife at the time, not my mom, not my dad, not my brother, and my little boy. That's the only thing that popped in my head.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you can relate to that, you know, or you know, but that's the only thing that kept me motivated to stay alive and come home. Every fucking day. So, when I got home, you know, he's there, and but I'm like, okay, let's do this. You know what I mean? Like I wanted that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, hell, I missed his first birthday.
We had no choice.
I didn't have a choice. You're right, but I missed his first birthday, his second birthday, his third birthday, his fourth birthday. Like, I only came home to see him born, and I went back to Iraq.
The good thing is that he was young whenever that happened.
Oh yeah, and you know, but like 2 months ago, you know, and like I said, you know, I guess I expected more of a response from him just because he's been around me his entire life, and he knows me better than I know myself, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knows me better than my parents, my mom knows me. You know what I mean? And because you know, I've opened up to him not too much, you know, but maybe a little more than I have my mom, as far as like, because he asks questions. You know, like he asked like specific questions, and like, well, how was it over there? What did you do? What did you see?
Yeah.
You know? My mom don't ask nothing. My mom's always just been my anchor. Like, she's like the strongest woman I know alive. She's seen me fucked up, you know, fucked up and more fucked up. You know what I mean? You know, and but Jaden, you know, he's been through it all, bro. Like, I remember one time, like, I legit tried to kill myself. And I had an M4 in my fucking, right here. I pulled the fucking trigger, and I did. It went off. But I was so fucking drunk that when I pulled the trigger, I leaned over, the bullet fucking went, and it went up to my roof, and then it fucking ricocheted down there, and right between my legs, a little fucking concrete mark where the bullet hit. Your part PD was called that night too. The next fucking morning, bro, all I remember is the police, they picked me, because I was fucking drunk. All I remember, I literally blacked out. I drank a whole bottle of fucking Crown all by myself. Like, I just downed it in my garage that night. I think I finished the whole bottle too, almost. Like, I was gone. Yeah. Cops came over because I think my neighbor heard the gunshots and fucking called the cops. And so all I remember them vividly. All I remember is there any guns in the house? And my mom's like, nope, don't know what you're talking about. And there was two officers that picked me up and they put me in my bed and I fucking passed out. Next morning, bro, I found a little letter in baby writing. My son was small as fuck. He wrote, Daddy, I love you. In baby writing. And dude, I woke up the next morning and I'm like, holy shit, like what the fuck did I just do? You know what I mean? Like, he don't fucking talk. Like, my son's always been quiet, dude. Like, I never know what's going on up here. He's always just been a quiet kid. You know, he didn't start being vocal until he was like a little bit older. You know, hell, I would say 6, 7. Like, he's always just quiet. And for me to see that shit, I was like, that was a slap in the face, bro. Like, dude, I started crying, dude. The next morning I seen that shit, I started crying. But it didn't fucking stop me from being a fucking idiot. You know, I kept on. Dude, it wasn't until last year, dude, that I just completely one day just fucking stopped. It's because Jaden's 17 now, still 15 years old. He fucking sees everything. He's fucking, now I'm seeing my dad in me and what my dad used to do with us. You know, except my dad used to take me to fucking, remember Tilt at the Pasadena Town Square?
Oh yeah.
So remember that there used to be
The
that
theater?
Mexican restaurant right across,
Yeah.
right? So my dad would literally, hey, this is the only time my dad would take us out. He'd take me and my brother to go play video games so he could sit at the bar and fucking drink. But I started seeing more and more of my dad and me on what I didn't want to do that I was doing with him. But let's get back on top of your question. So it would be my mom, Jaden, and then Brenda's the one that actually pushed me like, you need to fucking get help, because honestly, if it wasn't for her saying those words, bro, I'd still be fucking doing my dumb stupid shit. Don't get me wrong, my mom, I've heard it from my mom, I've heard it from him, Jaden. And just hearing it from her, I don't know if that was just the extra kick in the ass I needed, bro. But
That's weird, but every now and then you need to hear from a certain person.
I don't know, and it's weird with her because basically I haven't literally seen her or talked to her or spent any time with her in over fucking 7 years. You know what I mean?
That don't matter.
Like legit.
The connection matters.
And you know what though? Maybe you're right there, bro, because we got a pretty damn fucking strong connection.
Yeah, after all that time that you hadn't seen her or talked to her, like why now at this moment?
Yeah, that's kind of dude, but it's weird because shit just gets thrown in front of me, bro. Maybe to help me or to guide me or to lead me in the right direction. I still don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe.
So I'll go ahead and I'll answer the question too. I guess I have several people that made impacts on my life. To be honest, my biggest relationship is with God. You know what I mean? Because like my dad is, my dad didn't speak English very well, so like I didn't speak Spanish very well, so like our communication wasn't always like strong. Right. So when I reached out or when I really thought about like, who can help me, I always talk to God. It's one of the things that I've always done. I think for me, God's made the biggest impact in my life for so many reasons. Like people that get brought to me at certain times. I've known people forever, never did anything with them.
I was gonna say that about that girl going back into his life.
Yeah, and so like I pay attention to that. You know what I mean? Like I think I've heard one time that like they say God is love. You know what I mean? Like and to me, that's what I believe 100%. Like I was 15, 16 years old. I screw up when I was a kid. Did stupid shit, like dumb shit.
Yeah.
Got into fights at school. Got kicked out of school. Like, you name it, I did it. Didn't give a shit. Because I was already at the bottom, broke, poor. Like, what was I going to do? You know what I mean? Couldn't get any poorer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think for me, I think it was like, I think God was one of the things that like led me. Like, the people that I met this old guy at work, right? And his first thing, he's like, what are you doing? I was like, whatever the fuck I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, ain't no one guiding me in any direction.
Right.
All my friends, my brother, everybody, they all went to jail. They were all selling drugs in high school, through high school, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's who I knew. Those were the people that I hung around with.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because when I joined the military, it was like, I was sitting there one day and I'm like looking around, I'm like, I don't want to do that shit. Like, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
So I joined the military. And I was like, I'm just going to leave. And it was crazy because the only person that I can think that drove me to want to do that is God. Like,
Oh yeah.
Like who else is going to talk to me? Like my dad wouldn't. You know what I mean? Not that he didn't want to. He's not accustomed to that. Hispanics, we don't talk a lot about our feelings. We don't talk a lot about anything. So I think that was one of the big things for me was like someone's guiding me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where my faith comes from. You know what I mean? Like I've been guided so many ways. Met my wife, same thing. Met her in high school, and it was just like it's the craziest, weirdest time. It's like, well, I don't really want a girlfriend. Like I want to still be dumb, and it's just like I've always asked that question. Like God puts people, and it's up to you to decide if you're going to bring them into your life and accept it or not. You know what I mean? It's like choices that we make. And it was a pretty hard choice because I was having a lot of fun. You know what I mean? And I'm like, do I really want to settle down with a girlfriend? Like, do I totally didn't care to? But I did the hard choice, and I did. And it ended up working out. My wife and I have been married for, 24 years now?
Awesome.
Next year will be 25. You know what I'm saying?
Congratulations.
And so
I look up to him.
Congrats, man. Yeah.
So
Marriage is hard, bro.
it's hard, yeah.
It's hard, bro.
Relationships are hard.
It takes both of y'all.
It takes both, yeah, because like I'm not perfect. Like, I mean, I know that. Like, I tell her I'm perfect all the time. She probably watches videos. And he thinks he's perfect, but she knows how to identify like when I'm feeling a certain way and knows how to like shift me in a different direction. And I do the same thing for her.
That's good.
You know what I mean? And I think like part of the reason why we want to do this podcast was because like I think, and that's where these questions come from. It's like we got to first identify where we're, what is it that drives us? Like, what do we deal with? You know what I mean? Because like as kids, we never dealt with it, and then as adults, we're trying to do what worked as a kid, and it doesn't work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why like having these conversations, talking to people, and getting the message out there that like there's no perfect way.
None.
You know what I mean? Like I think all three of us have already gave 3 different examples of how or what we do to kind of deal with our shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even then, sometimes it doesn't work. I think we all use the same VA psychiatrist that it's like
Didn't work.
They just graduated school and they're like, hey, we have slots open. And
You know
that's
what's weird, dude? Chief, I learned more from fucking Chief Schultz than I learned from any fucking VA doctor in 13, 14 years. Like, legit. What did that 45-minute conversation, he taught me more about
That's awesome.
PTSD and just depression and just the symptoms and the scientific shit.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, I can't explain it, he could. But I learned more from him in that short phone conversation than me going to the VA for all them years. It did nothing for me.
So we got about 5 or 6 more minutes, and I want to ask this last question.
Go ahead and ask it now.
Okay. So when did you first realize what mattered most to you?
Ooh. Well, there's different phases.
Yeah.
But sort of on time. My daughter, the birth of my daughter, that changed me completely, bro.
Yeah.
When I say completely, that changed me completely. Like, my mentality, everything I do in life, like everything's for her now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so whether before her I was reckless in certain areas, now I'm like, oh, hold on.
Yeah.
What am I? If I do this, it's gonna affect her.
Yeah.
So how am I gonna go about doing this? You know what I mean? Like, so everything I do now is around my daughter and how she's gonna feel about it, or how she's gonna view it.
Yeah.
Or how she's gonna view it later in life. You know. So, my daughter. But, yeah, for sure.
That's the purpose that we have to create within ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's your daughter, your son, or whoever it is, but we got to find it. And then we got to start realizing, like, hey, because, I think we take a lot of stuff for granted.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it could be your kids, it could be anybody, it could be your wife, it could be, you know what I mean? Like, the minute you start, like, just throwing it to the side and not really caressing and building a relationship or spending time, that's when we're kind of self-destructing.
Oh, for sure. And like with me, like I recently got a divorce 3 years ago, and both of us screwed up a lot. And like I'll be the first one to say, like I know I'm not easy to fucking deal with. You know what I mean? And I'm definitely hard to live with, probably. So it's like, but as long as you're able to adapt on it and reach out and get help and do all this, but it takes 2 people to do that, to build that relationship back up. But I for sure I for sure didn't help it by not paying enough attention to my spouse. You know what I mean? But you live and you learn, and the next relationship you get in, you just make sure you're better with it. So I mean, or everything you do in life, as long as you're learning, like you're winning.
Yeah. You're up. You got a few minutes. Come on.
Couple minutes, brother.
Couple minutes.
What was the question again?
No, pull it up. When did you first realize what mattered most to you? Basically, what was that purpose that shifted your gears? Like,
dude, the moment was when I freaking broke. That's when everything else just was more clear for me. Like I know what direction I want to be in. That's when I cut off a lot of loose ends and I started cutting a lot of people off in my life.
Yeah.
There was feeding a lot of negativity in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still working on that special someone.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like I don't want to.
Don't rush that.
I don't want to.
Like,
I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. You know what I mean? So it's still a work in progress there. But the day I broke though, like I started cutting a lot of people off. That was a negative impact in my life.
Yeah.
You know.
So what was the key word we talked about? Organically. Let it happen
Yeah,
organically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I want to be very careful with what I say, because I don't want to say the wrong thing, and I don't want to fuck shit up.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I didn't answer your question really.
Yeah.
So the moment I found that out was right when my daughter came out, and the doctor gave her to me, and she wrapped her little hand around my finger. Bro, that was it. That was a wrap.
That was it.
That was
Yeah.
it. You can have my wallet, girl.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
You can have whatever you fucking want.
yeah.
Like that was the moment.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So,
I think you just know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for me, it was. I think it was all three of my kids. I think each one kind of changed how I thought, and kind of back to what you had said is like, you know who you used to be and who you can be, and it's like the hardest decision that we have to make as men is, you know, that's not the right thing for you. You know what I'm saying? And like we have to figure that out.
It's a very hard decision.
It's a hard decision, yeah.
Because your ego's involved.
Yes.
Your past experiences are involved.
Your pride.
You know, but for me, you know, even when my son was born, I'm still young, dumb, and stupid.
Yeah.
My fucking ego's still there. I'm still treating people like shit. I'm still fucking don't give a fuck about relationships, and I was just fucking drinking myself to death. Like, don't get me wrong, like, when he's born, it's kind of weird. He's the only thing that kept me alive when I was over there, but when I'm home, what am I doing? I'm doing the same fucking stupid shit.
Taking it for
You know what I
granted.
mean? You know what I mean? Yeah.
You're not cultivating that relationship.
Yeah.
You know, I know we only got about a minute left, but I just want to kind of cover this real quick. So
You got 11 minutes.
We good.
part of our group that we want to create, or our organization, is called I'm Good, right? Because that's one of the first things that we talk about. Right? You know, like, I don't care who you talk to. You go walk up to someone, it don't matter how big they are, how tough they are. First thing you ask them is, I'm good. That's the first response. Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
For sure.
And then, like, I've had friends that committed suicide that I spoke to a week or 2 weeks before, and that was a response that they gave me was, man, no, I'm good. I'm doing good at work. I'm doing this. You know what I mean? And it's like we throw that mask.
Yeah.
Right? We always throw that mask up.
So you know what you gotta do? You have to bring that mask down.
Yeah.
So and a good way to do it is through hobbies. So like for instance, what do you have a hobby?
We got expensive hobbies.
We do a lot. That's part of what our group wants to do, right? So like, I go mudding. I'm in the mud all the time. I got friends who have.
We like exotic sports: jet skiing,
I like fishing,
skydiving. You know, mudding. Like
So like with me, I love fishing, right? And for the longest time, man, I hated the water because I was in a shipwreck.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of death on the fucking ocean. And for the longest time, that just ate at me, bro. And I had a lot of opportunities to go on, you know, cruises, like nice cruises.
Oh, I hate cruises. I don't even go on them. I've been on so many damn ships.
Yeah,
I don't want to be on them no more.
For sure.
For me, it's different though.
Yeah. But so check this out. So with me, my dad had just bought a boat, and I was like, you know what? If I flip out on sea, I flip out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because all growing up, he would always take me fishing and stuff. It was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then finally, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go. So I went out with my dad, and man, I got hooked.
Yeah.
As soon as I got out there, peaceful, everything, man.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Some of the most deepest conversations me and my dad has ever had has been on that water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my thing is, how can I incorporate fishing into healing people?
Yeah.
So I just bought a boat, and what I'm gonna do is, with the Camp Valor and local veterans around here, first responders, I'm gonna take them out, you know, 2 by 2.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go fishing, let loose, and talk about shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's cool.
It brings their walls down by having fun, relaxing out in that water, teaching them new skills. If they don't know how to fish, teach them how to fish. And when they're on their own by themselves, they can take their kid fishing, and they can go fishing by themselves. I go fishing by myself all the time, and I just to relieve stress, man. And just being out there in the water, man, it's soothing and it's healing. So for me, it's like, how can I make it to where this benefits other people in my foundation? Because I'm the executive director, bro. Like, I'm always looking for new ways to help people and to steer this foundation. And luckily, I got a really strong team. We're in 7 different states, and I got a really strong team that does a really good job with peer support and stuff like that. But every now and then, we need to find different avenues and different ways to get into people's heads and get their mind going on a path to healing, right? So sometimes it's hard for some people, man, and that's when that comes into play. When you isolate them from everybody, and it's just you and them, and you get that wall coming down, and he's having fun, you're teaching him, you're doing this, interacting. Well, then you start, hey, so tell me about this, and then that's when
you start easing into it.
You start easing into it, man. And then
No,
the other process begins.
Yeah, because that's what we talked about. I was like, man, I went to all these different counselors and nothing helped.
Yeah.
Like, nothing opened me up. Nothing got me to.
Because most of them are scholars and they never lived it.
Yeah, they don't know. Yeah, they don't understand it. And I was telling them, I was like, it may not be the first trip, second trip, or third trip, but by the 4th, 5th trip, trust me, we'll get them opened up.
And don't get me wrong though. I said that.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. So you need those kind of people.
Yeah.
The scholars, right?
Yeah.
That haven't been through the shit, because there is important stuff in those books.
Yeah.
It's studies,
Triggers.
important studies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
identifying triggers that you might have.
Right.
That's a scholarly.
Right. Well, you can do that with peer support. We teach them that too.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Triggers, trimmers, all that stuff,
Yeah.
right? But here's the thing: when you couple that with peer support, with somebody that's actually been through the shit, and they're doing peer support, and that peer support person is talking with your therapist and letting them know, hey, well, this kind of was going on with him also. You're not opening up to me like you are to that therapist. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
and when teamwork happens, bro, it's unreal how fast stuff heals.
Because they can unpack some of the things and give them tools that you probably won't be able to come up with.
Of course.
And that's why you need that, right?
Of course.
You need that, like that LPC,
For sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's huge, and I think part of like our organization is very similar. We want to kind of bring people to us, no matter what it is. I mean, for me, it's like mud, and for you might be the water. For Jason, it might be
jet skiing or whatever.
Jet skiing.
And let me know when y'all start doing it, and the guys at the camp would love to go.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely we're definitely gonna get all that stuff figured out. But I'm Good is what we're gonna name our organization, and our goal is to take vets out, have a good time, but also we're gonna talk about our feelings and try to unpack that and see how we can help. And it's not going to be a one-time or maybe multiple calls, but I like what you guys are doing with the Battle Buddy and setting someone up who experienced the same things.
For sure.
That's something that we can take and learn from.
I didn't even think about that.
And then also on top of that, what we do is like, and we don't do it often, but sometimes we're able to get people out of veterans court. And talk to the judge and be like, look, judge, and like theft and stuff like that. Like,
where were you at? I had my DWI.
I know, right? Well, nothing violent, nothing violent or stuff like that. But minor offenses like class B's and C's. Hey, let us take it to the camp. Let him graduate. If he graduates, let that be time served. If he doesn't graduate, you can have him. And some of the times they'll let me take them.
Oh wow.
And whenever they let us take them, they're in the camp and they know they have to fulfill everything. But man, after a few weeks there, man, they're on board all the way. You know what I mean? They can act hard all they want, but the camaraderie there, because you're with other veterans there that are trying to get healed. You're with a good director, John Bailey. He's a war veteran, got shot down in a helo. He got all kinds of stuff happen to him, man. And he been through tons of trauma. He's come out the other side helping people. And I say all the time, man, people that went through traumatic events like y'all and like me, like when you start on a path to helping people, or if like y'all's nonprofit, once y'all start on y'all's nonprofit, you're gonna realize you are paying more attention to this nonprofit than your own businesses. And it might not be good, it might be good, whatever, but y'all can always tie it in together. But the thing is that you're gonna realize that you're gonna wanna help people every fucking day. because it's an addiction, bro. Because I don't want nobody to feel like I felt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You don't want to tell nobody.
So I'm gonna go that extra fucking mile, and I'm gonna drive to fucking North Houston in the middle of the night and get this guy away from the gun that he's holding in his head. Like, it's happened. I'm gonna drive to fucking Spring and get a guy that's detoxing right now in the middle of the night on Christmas Eve. Another officer. I'm gonna get him and I'm gonna fly him to Florida to a facility that, you know what I mean? Like, there's stuff that we do as a foundation that it's a 24/7.
But you being law enforcement though too, that also gives you that extra capability and capacity to do things like that. You know what I mean? Which, that's a blessing in itself. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You know, us, we're just regular Joes, just trying to help somebody else.
Well, the thing is, like, y'all regular Joes that have connections to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that.
So, and y'all ain't regular Joes, bro. Y'all gotta think different. Y'all have multiple businesses. Y'all are impacting the community with y'all's businesses. Y'all are providing jobs for families. You're putting food on their tables. Like, don't think like that, bro. Like,
of course.
You're helping a ton of people with what y'all are doing. And then with this nonprofit, bro, it's endless. It could be sky's the limit, bro.
And not to mention too, like that's what, you know, part of the podcast or part of our group is that, like, we have successful
we got
men
successful men
that know how to make money.
Doctors.
You know what I mean? Like, it may not be about money. It may be like, hey, I want to start a business. Like that. I mean, that's what we do.
That's what we do. You know,
we know how to make
I need help with that shit. So.
Yeah, we know.
So I'm gonna be picking y'all's brain too.
Yeah, and you know, I told my wife this the other day. She's like, well, why did you want to go that direction? And I just told her straight up, like, money isn't shit to me no more. I don't care for it. I don't have that drive anymore. I want something. I'm looking for a different direction.
Yeah.
Well, the nonprofit is definitely gonna.
And that's kind of where I'm at.
I'm trying to tell you, man.
And you know what? I honestly, I could give everything up just to do this nonprofit and to do this podcast, because this is something that now, especially after I broke, and I'm telling you, I see when the day I broke. In the weeks that followed after, I look at life in a different perspective. I see things differently now. You know, I'm not. It's not that I could care less about business, because business is what puts food on our table and a roof over our head. But I'm driven a certain way, and I want to do something else because I want to impact other people's lives. Like, I'm just so madly driven.
And while you're doing all this, man, just know that, you know, y'all have employees. Those employees, some are veterans. You know, some are people that come from broken homes. Some are people that saw a lot of trauma growing up. So y'all are in a perfect spot to get them help through the nonprofit that y'all have. And it's all connected. You know what I mean? So that'll be that. I'm telling you, hey, y'all, once y'all get that up and running, it'll be awesome, bro. And then, you know, partner up with, you know, nonprofits like mine and other nonprofits that y'all know.
We're gonna do this together, brother.
We can
get it up.
Let's do it. If y'all have any questions, man, let me know. And I'll you know, I'll help you as much as I can. For sure.
7 o'clock. Thank you for spending the time.
For sure.
More to come for sure. We plan on getting with more vets, more business owners who are vets, who are successful in their careers, and pick their brains and give you guys, because maybe you may not connect with us, but maybe you'll connect with one of our guests, and that's kind of what we're looking at. Is we want to bring a mix of everyone in there, because not everyone likes our flavor. You know what I mean? So if we can connect with one or two people, that's what we want. But
for sure.
Thank you, and we'll see y'all next time.
And real quick, if y'all need help with any traumatic events, PTSD, if you know anybody that needs help with that, if you know veterans that you think could benefit from our resources, it's birdwellfoundation.org. And my name is Matthew Marin. I'm the executive director, and it's 832-561-9593 24/7. My phone rings, I pick it up. If not, I'll text you back if I'm at a meeting or something. But let me know if I can help, and hopefully y'all have me back on again. And we just touched the surface, man. There's tons more stuff to talk about.
Oh yeah, we barely.
We didn't even scratch the surface.
Hopefully y'all read the book and ask me questions about the book. Cause
I will.
Oh hell yeah!
All right, guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate it.
For sure.
Awesome. Sounds good.